Hey, how you guys doing? My name is DeMonte Bellinger, and I attend Central Methodist University. The case I decided to choose was 6-1, which is titled, "Is it ethical to criticize other dentists' work?" Case 6-1, as a clinical dentist, the first obligation in place is to make sure the well-being of a patient is ahead of the interests of the dentist. Focused on providing patients with the most complete and truthful information referring to their current oral health status. Also, dentists should take great caution before commenting on other dentists and their practices and how they go about their business, because unjustified and misleading criticism is disparaging and can also lead to consequences for that professional. So the case starts with a question of a patient to a dentist where he asks if their previous dentist did a poor job. And it kind of starts a debate whether you should actually come out and tell the patient, yes, they did a bad job, or no, you feel me, like, no, you shouldn't, have let them do it, or, there's different ways you can go about it. So that's what the whole case is really wrapped around. So a dentist makes a statement to a patient regarding their previous treatment from a dentist. The patient has no obligation to keep that information confidential and keep it to themselves. So like they don't have to not tell anyone. Anyone they cross paths with, that's free information for them to tell. And once, like as a dentist and a professional, once you tell your patient or someone something, that's your word. That carries with you. When someone tells the next person, oh, Dennis Bellinger tell them this, it's going to carry some weight. People are going to actually believe it. So I feel like what they said in the case, it was like applying the burden of proof would be wise and also ensure the statement provided to the patient is true and it can also be justified. So basically, in a perfect world, dentist A and dentist B, they would work together, and so dentist B would be able to communicate with dentist A about the previous treatments that they had, the outcomes from those treatments, and also they'll be able to talk about the way they went about it, and also some of the differences of opinions that they have, like with one another, whether on how the treatment went, how they went about it, things of that sort. So some of the details on the case, the American Dental Association Principles of Ethics and Code of Professional Conduct address this issue. The code is what they call it, the code in two sections, which is one titled Justifiable Criticism and the second one titled Advisory Opinion. So in the first section, which is titled Justifiable Criticism, dentists are obligated to report to the appropriate reviewing agencies as determined by the local component constituent society instance of growth or consensual faulty treatment by other dentists. Also, if a dentist is going to issue a public statement with the respect of their profession, they shall have the reasonable basis to believe that the comments are true and also be able to justify the information they are issuing out to the public. The patient should be informed of their present or health status without disparaging comments about their prior services. So just focused on where their current health is and where they are at that time. Not talking about any of their prior encounters with any other dentists. Just focus on the present. So some of the second section in what they call the code is titled Advisory Opinion. This is where the patient relies heavily on the dentist's experience to know the oral health status, and the dentist should also provide the patient with truthful and justified information. They shouldn't lie about where their current health status is or where they currently are. They should tell them the truth and let them know. So several ways they could go about finding out, making sure they're right on point with their current health and where they are is through consulting with their previous treating dentist, just to get some of the background, some of the treatments they already have, some of the steps they have processed and went through. Also being accountants with the application law and determine under what circumstances and conditions the treatment was performed. Dentists are advised to advise against unknowing and unjustified statements about other dentists. So they shouldn't put out bad words about other dentists if they don't truly know, oh, they made a mistake, you know, because several things happen, such as lapses in professional judgment, human fallibility, and things like that. So you can't just send out unknowingly unjustified statements about other dentist companies, because I'm sure if you were a dentist, you wouldn't want people to do that to you. So we was asked to look at this case from different point of views or use some of the tools we talked about in class. So utilitarianism fit right in with this case because it's fully focused on providing the greatest amount of good for the greater number of people. So looking at this case, the dentist will provide the patient with the information they need without disparate comments about service of the prior dentist. Excuse me. This information being true and also justifiable and trying to make everyone involved in that situation happen is what utilitarianism is and what it's truly focused on. So if we're looking at it from this perspective, no bad reports about the prior dentist, while the utilitarian would strictly be focused on just making sure that experience and that time in the dentist's office is great and makes the patient happy. Providing the patient with a happy experience and also a positive direction will help them forget about the prior dentist services. Another perspective that I also looked into was social contract. It's more so of just focused on a person's morals through a contract and agreement. They're not really, like utilitarian, they're focused on the people and making everyone happy. Whereas if in a social contract theory, it's just more so focused on the contract and the agreement and just focused on getting the job done. They're not more so worried about those people. So they're obligated to society in which they live in because of their morals, depending on the contract agreement. Using tools to provide with what they need for an agreement in the contract as toward a contract standpoint, that's solely purpose on just, you know, getting the contract done. I personally don't think this would be the best outlook in the situation because the patient is looking for a positive treatment and just fulfilling a contract won't be enough. Oh, you can be like, oh, I signed up to pull your wisdom tooth, and then after your wisdom teeth, you know, I don't have no more care for you. That's because, you know, like with the social contract theory, they're just solely focused on the contract and getting the contract done. They're not really focused on, like a utilitarian, they're focused on making sure everyone involved in the situation is happy. So I also think, like, I don't think social contract would be a good theory, but like if I was looking at it through a utilitarianism standpoint, you know, I feel like that would be the best one because it would involve everyone at the end of the day being happy. So in my conclusion, after reviewing the case, I don't think it is ethical to criticize other people or other dentists' work because providing the new patient with the oral healthcare service should be the main focus and almost the only focus because you're really trying to focus on those patients being happy. You're not trying to really just criticize the other people that they were with or the other dentist offices. So some comments, the smallest comment can be interpreted wrong. So some comments can be taken the wrong way by the patient. So it's very important to, if you're going to comment, make sure you're speaking facts that have been justified. And also, you know, provide, you know, the next step into the process of where you guys are headed, just with their care. Instead of criticizing the other dentist, simply take the time to report to the correct reviewing agency and let them solve the problem with that dentist office instead of criticizing them and becoming a bad person and making a bad name for your office for criticizing others. Criticizing other dentist offices' work that is unjustifiable and uninformed correctly can also lead to consequences from that professor. So like I said, I don't think it is personally and ethically, I don't think it's ethical to criticize other dentists' work.